Good evening, Spookaroos. I am Eric D, and this is Spooky Times with Eric D. So that works out great. I'm right where I'm supposed to be, and you are right where you're supposed to be, listening to this classic remix episode of the podcast formerly known as Spooky AS, or other naughty words, which we don't say as much anymore, although we do still sometimes. You're going to hear some naughty words in this classic episode. But this is an episode all about one of, if not my very favorite Halloween specials of all time, and that would be the Halloween that almost wasn't. This is an episode featuring me and Tom Cole. The Halloween that almost wasn't is also known as the night Dracula saved the world, depending on how you saw it. Did you watch it on television, where it was known as the Halloween that almost wasn't? Or did you watch it on VHS, where it was known as the night Dracula saved the world? So you might know it by either one of those names, but either way, it's a classic Halloween special from times when they were doing classic Halloween specials, which they don't do so much anymore. You might get a tie-in sometimes, like Shrek or something like that. They have Halloween specials based around that. But you don't just see a good old Halloween special just for the sake of Halloween specials anymore. And that is really a shame. But if you do want to see this one, it's available on YouTube in its entirety, so you can find it there. You can also very easily find it by going to patreon.com/witchfinder, where I have posted it. And it's not just for Patreons, although of course I would love it if you would become a Patreon and support my activities here on the podcast and my activities as the Witchfinder General of Salem, Massachusetts, the one and only. There is another guy going around Boston calling himself the Witchfinder. I discovered him recently, and he's got way more YouTube views than I do, so we got to fix that. There is only one licensed Witchfinder in the world, and that is me. So we gotta fix that. But anyway, if you go to patreon.com/witchfinder, you can find this special in its entirety. You don't have to watch it before listening to this episode, although it'll probably at least slightly increase your listening enjoyment if you do. But, this episode represents itself just fine without you having seen the special, although you're definitely going to want to see the special once you listen to this episode. Now, the other thing about this episode is that I have a plethora of updates since the time I recorded this episode. Because you'll hear me say that, the mansion where they filmed this Halloween special is open and you can go for tours. Well, I have now gone to that mansion, I would guess maybe 3 or 4 times since we recorded this episode. Which I had never been to when we did record this episode. So I've got stories to tell you about that. I met one of the actors, one of the stars of this Halloween special, and I got stories to tell you about that. And there are some mistakes that I made here, some things that I meant to mention that I didn't mention, some things that I have learned about some of the cast members since we recorded this episode. So I've got so much to catch you up on. I'm not going to do it all in the intro like I do sometimes for these remix episodes. I'm actually going to make another episode about the Halloween that almost wasn't. So we're going to do that. I don't know if I'll do it like a brand new episode for next week, or if it just turns out to be like a mini episode, I might release it, like in a few days or something. But whatever the case, it'll be the very next thing that I post on this podcast feed, and it will be there for your listening enjoyment. So I hope that you will enjoy the Halloween that almost wasn't. Take it back to 2016. Welcome to Spooky Ass Shit. I am your host, Eric Dwinells, and with me, once again, Old Faithful, Tom Cole.
Hey there, everybody. I'm sure that you are all thrilled to hear my beautiful voice again on these airwaves.
Hey, anything's better than just me alone yapping at everybody for at least 30 to 40 minutes.
Well, we are really excited to be talking today. I know I have my spooky pants on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have your spooky pants on?
Well, mine's more like spooky undergarments.
Oh, okay.
I don't want to get it. It's not like a Mormon thing, but
all right.
I don't want to get too far into it.
I respect that.
You have to know me really intimately well to see my intimate spooky apparel.
I've never seen it, folks.
Yeah.
Never seen it.
That's
I'm working my way in, once I'm on the show 10 times, I think maybe I get a glimpse at the underpanties, the spooky ass underpanties.
Oh, jeez. All right. You're not supposed to say panties. It's gross.
Oh, okay. My mistake.
For
I'm
men
sorry.
and women.
Well, I'll keep that
Yeah.
in mind for next time.
Today is actually a show that I'm very excited about, and I might be one of the few people who's very excited about it.
Oh, yeah?
But I don't know if that's true. I think if you grew up in the 80s and 90s like I did, there's a good chance you saw that we're talking about a Halloween special tonight. We're dipping back into the classic VHS tape that my mother started for me when I was very, very little. And it's just full of Halloween episodes of TV shows and Halloween specials from the 80s into the 90s.
Right. Absolutely. And it is a VHS tape.
Yeah.
VHS.
It is older than Tom.
To watch this special, we had to rewind it. And not only did we rewind it, it wasn't like rewind and you can see what's happening. It's rewind, hit play, and have faith that you're in the ballpark of what you want to see.
It's true. It took us a good 10 minutes to find the
actual
part.
And we got to a point where it's like, it's going to happen in the next 3 minutes.
Close enough.
So let's
we'll
just
watch the end of this.
We'll just ride this wave out. Let's just see what happens in this cartoon.
The spookiest thing we're going to realize tonight is that there are people listening to this who have never even held a VHS tape.
Right. Exactly. That is spooky.
Yeah.
Oh, man. They don't know.
The joys.
They don't know the joys of rewinding or going to the video store and forgetting to rewind.
Yeah, and I suppose I should, just in case we do have younger listeners, folks, a VHS tape, you could tape things off the television. You'd have to watch TV, and then you'd hit the record button on your machine,
mm-hmm.
and it would tape things off the TV. You didn't just have access to it all the time, anytime, and you could look it up, with the touch of a button.
Yeah, it was like...
If you wanted something, you had to save it yourself or buy it from the store.
Yeah, it was like DVR, but way before DVR.
Yeah. And
way shittier quality.
Yeah, well, especially this tape, because we taped everything on like extended long play or something like that. So
yeah, and you did tell me that the VHS is older than me. I'm 28 years old, everyone.
Yeah. I believe, I can't say for sure, but I believe this tape was started at least in 1986.
Right, and that's got me by a couple years.
Yeah.
So that's fun.
Still holding up. I mean, it's not in perfect condition, but
it's had some wear and tear.
Yeah.
But it's still played.
There you go. Every year I play it. And I have since 1986 probably. So this is its 30th anniversary year.
There you go. So
we are working our way through this tape. We won't get to each and everything on it because some of it, especially the stuff towards the end, I was putting it on there just to put it on there.
Right.
But especially the 80s stuff is classic.
Oh, yeah. The beginning to middle stuff, that's all like gold.
Yeah.
That's all stuff that should be lodged in a lot of people's memory banks.
Yeah. And I hope that this is one of them because tonight we're going to talk about a Halloween special originally titled The Halloween That Almost Wasn't. Yeah. And by the way, if you have not seen this show, that doesn't mean you shouldn't listen to this episode because you can find the full special on YouTube. And listening to this will only make you want to see it more, if anything, and only add to your enjoyment.
I mean, and Eric, I can only assume that if people find it on YouTube, that video, the number is going to go through the roof after hearing this.
Oh, yeah.
They'll probably be in the millions.
Yeah, that's right. There's no DVD release, so the only way you can find it is on YouTube, or if you track down a VHS somewhere.
Or a bootlegged VHS copy.
Yeah. So we got to start a petition to get it released on DVD, I guess.
I think so.
With special features. I definitely want commentary by Judd Hirsch.
Can we call Disney Channel? Can we call them up?
I don't know if they own it. We have to just... Well, I guess it's ABC, so that is Disney, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, now. We'll figure it out. We'll talk to them.
All right, well, we'll call the CEO over there.
Yeah.
If you watch the Disney Channel in the 80s or the 90s, this played all the time. I mean, I remember from the early 90s this one playing.
Yeah, I was thinking to myself, because we did have the Disney Channel when I was real little. Some of the specials on the tape actually come off the Disney Channel.
Right.
And I thought, because the special originally aired in 1979, is that correct?
Yeah, 1979 on ABC.
Right, so that's before my time even. So we definitely don't have a recording of the original airing. So I was thinking we must have it from the Disney Channel.
Yeah.
But as we were watching it, there's commercials on it. So I think this must have been like a special network presentation.
Yeah, it could have been. Maybe ABC re-aired it. Or Disney Channels, they did have short commercials for their own stuff.
Right. But
not as many as they do nowadays.
No, we were seeing commercials for Frankenberry cereal.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
There's
so
a
it must have been...
Which I'll try to post because I don't think I've seen that one online.
Oh,
and I know there are probably monster cereal collectors out there who would love to see it.
Yeah, it was Frankenberries, Count Chocula, and Boo Berries.
Yeah. Yep.
Good stuff.
And a little hint of a Cinnamon Toast Crunch commercial, too, but that went away, unfortunately.
Yeah.
You didn't get the whole shebang.
That's good stuff.
Yeah. So, like I said, it was originally known as the Halloween that almost wasn't. However, when it went to VHS, it was also known as the night that Dracula saved the world.
Yeah. Which
I think is maybe a little bit of an overstatement.
Yeah, I mean, especially for those.
I guess he saved Halloween in the special.
Yeah, he saved one day.
Yeah.
But
I don't think the world was in danger.
Right. I think the Moroccans might disagree with him.
Yeah, I think the Halloween that almost wasn't is a more apt title.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
All right, so let's talk about the actual special now that we've delved into it a bit. First off, we have to talk about who's in it.
It's actually a pretty impressive cast.
Yeah. The main star who goes balls out in this special, and I think, honestly, in my opinion, deserves a standing ovation for his portrayal, is Judd Hirsch.
Yeah.
Judd Hirsch of Taxi fame.
Yep.
As Count Dracula.
Oh, man. He the gold standard for Dracula.
Now, when I say this, he's doing a campy, cheesy Dracula impersonation.
He knew what he was doing there.
But he knows that he's making, you can tell, he knows he's making the special for kids. He's going to have fun playing Dracula.
Yeah, he sounded like he got his accent from like an owl because everything he says is like, who do you? And it's ridiculous.
And he's literally dressed like a little kid's Halloween costume of Dracula.
Yeah, with makeup and everything.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, they're definitely wearing like Halloween makeup.
It's bad.
Yeah. And but he's got the cape that like you can see the strings that tie around his neck.
Yeah. And
he's got like the red medallion that like just the classic like go to the drugstore and get yourself a Dracula costume. If you own a white shirt and black pants, with everything else you buy at the drugstore, you can be Dracula.
Right. Absolutely.
And he's got the cheesy accent.
Yep.
And he's way overdoing everything. But for this special, it's perfect.
Yeah, he's like a caricature of Dracula.
Right. And it's a kid's special, so that's
exactly. So that's what they're going for. Yeah,
cartoony. Now, some other people in the cast, of course, is Mariette Hartley.
Yeah,
who plays the witch.
Emmy Award winner Mariette Hartley.
Yeah, and we'll talk more about her in a little bit. But you might know her if you're a Twilight Zone fan. She's in a pretty famous episode of the Twilight Zone called The Long Morrow, which is the one where the astronaut's going into space and it's going to be a 40-year mission, and time's going to pass for him very quickly, but when he comes home, it'll be 40 years later, and they decide that this one astronaut is the perfect guy for it because he doesn't have a girlfriend or a family or anything, nothing to hold him back, so he's going to go. Of course, the day before he goes, he falls in love with Mariette Hartley's character.
Good old Mare Hart.
Yeah. And that was all the way back in 1959.
Oh, really?
So she was holding up pretty well because she's a witch in this special, but she still looks pretty good.
Right. Yeah. She, we Googled some pictures. She's a fox.
Yeah.
She is a looker.
She was not Anne Margaret looking in her younger days.
Yeah. I mean,
which is the highest praise. Tom can attest. That is the highest praise that I can give anyone because I love me some 1960s Anne Margaret.
Oh, he does. It's
a screensaver on my phone.
That's what he wants. That's his ideal woman. If he could go in a time machine back to then.
There you go.
He would be living large.
That's right. I did meet Anne Margaret. She doesn't look the same now, but...
She didn't hold up?
No, she's actually still looks very good for a 70,
she's an old
80-something-year-old woman.
Older lady.
But I'd still hit it, by the way.
Oh, come on. Who wouldn't? Yeah.
if only to look at the old pictures and say like, I mean, you know,
Exactly.
yeah, she didn't look like
Yeah,
that. But
I mean,
I've been
you
with
can, you can,
But
close,
even now, she's still
right.
an attractive
I mean, you
woman,
could
like I
close
said.
your eyes and you can imagine
Yeah.
whatever you want.
This might be a little too much bro talk. I might edit this part out.
Yeah,
but
that's all right. It happens.
might end up on the YouTube cuts.
Yeah.
And yes, as you pointed out, she is an Emmy Award winner
Yeah. For The Incredible Hulk.
for an episode of The Incredible Hulk.
Yeah.
Interesting. And then we have the zombie character, Zabar the zombie, who they mentioned specifically that he's from Haiti, yet he's clearly a white dude.
From Butte, Montana.
Well, yes, the actor, yeah. The actor's name is Joseph Ellick.
Yeah.
Maybe saying that correctly?
Yeah, that seems about right.
Now, he appears in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. I don't think he has a major part or anything, but he's Bancini in that. And then he's also in another holiday classic, this time a Christmas holiday classic.
Right.
Any Mystery Science Theater fans out there are going to know this one. Santa Claus Conquers the Martians, in which he, of course, plays one of the Martians, Shim.
Classic film.
Yeah, he does not speak in The Halloween That Almost Wasn't. Then we have Jack Riley, who played the Wolfman, and I don't think he really has a ton of credit. He's done a lot of character-y kind of work.
Right.
But to me, as a kid, I always mistook him for John Larroquette, who played Dan Fielding on Night Court. I don't know. I thought the Wolfman. Maybe it's because he wears a suit.
Yeah, he is very dapper.
Yeah, and his hair, the style of his hair, the color is very different. But it's like it's kind of up and poofy, kind of like John Larroquette's was. So, and maybe I don't
could
know,
be
associated the two.
Yeah, but he is a very dapper, good-looking, put-together werewolf.
Yeah, he's not. He just looks like a guy with a beard. Actually, he doesn't actually really look wolf-like.
Yeah, he looks like a guy who knows how to dress, but
and he's wearing like a tweed suit.
Yeah, so he's like a hipster.
Yeah, yeah. He basically looks like a modern hipster. And then the Mummy is played by Robert Fitch, who you're not going to remember from TV and movies, but if you're a Broadway fan, you'll know him as the original Rooster from Annie.
Oh, get out.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yep. He is neither seen nor heard
Hmm.
in this, but it must have been his movement because he is kind of a ragdoll-like in this. So I guess his Broadway dancing abilities came into play.
Yeah.
And the last one to talk about is John Shuck, who plays Frankenstein.
Good old Shucky.
Now, what's interesting about him is that he would go on to play Frankenstein again in a show called Munsters Today. He'd play Herman Munster. So I guess not Frankenstein, but...
Oh, all right.
Yeah. And I used to watch that show when I was a kid, even though, it wasn't very good. And do you remember that show at all?
I don't. Not even a little bit.
It used the original Munsters theme song, but it gave it words.
Okay.
I'll play it for you now.
We're the monsters. We're the monsters. We went to sleep. And we woke up with a brand new show. We're the monsters. We're the monsters. Oh, yeah!
But yeah, it will kind of ruin the theme for you. So I'm
gotcha.
I'm a little bit sorry that it's in everybody's head now. And now when you hear the song, you'll hear "We're the monsters today."
Yeah, so spread that around to everyone's head that you meet. So get that in there.
I still remember all the words too. That's what's crazy. It was only on for like a couple of years, and like I'd probably watched it. I wasn't like I can't say like as a faithful watcher,
right?
But remember all of it.
But it's on. You watched it. It's in there.
It's got monsters. I was in.
Yeah.
Now the plot of the special is Dracula wakes up one night. It's the night before Halloween.
Night before Halloween.
Yeah. And he's living with Igor.
Yeah.
Oh, that's who we forgot. Yeah, I can't believe I forgot to mention Igor. Igor was played by Henry Gibson, who was in the Blues Brothers as the leader of the Illinois Nazis.
Okay.
But more famously for him, probably, he was also in The Burbs, the Tom Hanks movie about the creepy neighbors that move in and everyone wonders what they're up to over there. Henry Gibson played Dr. Werner Klopek in The Burbs.
Interesting.
Yeah.
He actually, looking at his filmography, he has some pretty good credits to his name.
Yeah.
And he was chummy with, it looks like Jack Parr, Jerry Lewis, all those guys back then. So he's good for him. Good on him.
He was probably one of the people they got in, and they were like, oh,
Yeah, that was a
kind of
score.
get.
Yeah, that's a get. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, don't forget, this was a major network television special.
I mean, it was. Yeah. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. You had Judd Hirsch and an Emmy winner, and I don't know if she'd, maybe not yet.
I don't think
then,
at that
but-
point she
No,
was
but she was on her way.
She was on her way. She
Building
was
her
a rising
career.
star.
Yeah. So anyway, Igor is living with Dracula. He's basically like his manservant. He's supposed to go around and do everything, like set up his coffin and keep windows and doors open, which
Right.
we learn in the course of the special.
Yeah, like Igor is portrayed in every instance. Igor is.
He's kind of incompetent.
Yeah, just he's Igor-y.
Yeah, bumbling. But he's like a hunchback, I guess is his monster deformity.
Yeah, and he just gets picked on. He's
Yeah.
the comic relief.
Yeah, he's Dracula's bitch.
Yeah, exactly. Dracula's bitch.
But they're watching the news while they share some popcorn.
Right.
And the newsman comes on and says, there's been a terrible announcement from Dracula. He's sent this press release saying that he's canceling Halloween this year.
Yeah.
And Dracula's like, what the fuck? I didn't send out any press release.
Yeah.
Halloween is happening. What,
Yeah,
what
it's
the
still
hell are
on.
they talking about?
We're on.
And it's the news report said he summoned all the monsters to his castle to discuss the fate of Halloween.
Right. And Dracula's like, no, I didn't.
Yeah, he's no, I didn't, but all right. So all the monsters come to the castle, and they're all introduced one by one, and they all have like little intro scenes.
Yeah, little quirks.
Yeah, and we learn basically that Dracula doesn't feel the monsters are scary enough anymore. For one thing, Frankenstein has been taking dance lessons.
Yeah. Did they reference Young Frankenstein in that?
I think that was the point.
Yeah, it's like ever since that movie, you can't stop tap dancing.
Oh, that's right. They do.
I
say that.
love tap dancing.
Yeah, yeah. I think that is a direct
So
reference
I'm pretty sure that was
to
Young
Frank.
Frankenstein.
That was a nod to the older folk in the
Yeah.
in the audience that had seen Young Frankenstein.
By the way, one of the greatest movies ever made.
it really. We'll talk about that movie sometime.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
One of my favorites.
So he does dance. He shows Igor some of his dance moves and stuff before too. So Dracula says, you got to be more scary. You got to stop dancing. The Wolfman has taken a sponsorship from Gillette razors or whatever company.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
And he does like razor blade commercials now.
Mm-hmm.
So he's just going through the whole list of why these monsters aren't scary anymore. And he gets to the witch, who's already established that she's a bit of a powerhouse.
Yeah.
What were you going to say?
I was gonna go shrew.
Yeah, see? I'm trying to be nice and not sound like a, anti-woman.
Misogynist.
Yeah.
I said shrew. There's worse words I could have used. I'm not going to because there's ladies in the audience and I don't want to offend them.
Uh-huh. All right. Well, good luck with that. But she comes in, and first of all, I will say that when I was a kid, I thought that was Cher.
I could see that.
I thought that was Cher.
I could definitely
playing,
see
her,
that.
She sort of looks like Cher in witch makeup.
Yeah.
And her voice is a little bit Cher-ish. Like when people do a Cher impersonation. She didn't flip her hair over her shoulder or whatever, but
Right.
otherwise she was a little bit Cher-ish.
Yeah, I could definitely see that.
Yeah. And she's another one who's definitely wearing like kids' Halloween makeup.
Oh, with that.
Like she's got like lines drawn on her face.
Yeah, like a terrible prosthetic nose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think actually like that was the point. I don't think it was just bad makeup for the special. I think that was kind of the point. Which we'll get to at
it's
the
supposed
end,
to be all supposed to be like tongue in cheeky and
Yeah.
all that. Yeah.
But it turns out she's the one who sent the message to the news that Halloween was going to be canceled.
She's got an agenda.
Because she's not feeling it anymore. And she says, every year I have to bust my ass, and then you are ungrateful to Dracula, she's
He
saying.
just takes all the glory.
Because basically, in this universe, Dracula is the king of Halloween.
He's the face of
He's
Halloween.
the official symbol of Halloween. And she's basically saying, like, you treat us all like shit, and we don't like it, and we're sick of it, and I'm just not going to do it anymore. These other guys can be your patsies if you want, but I'm not doing shit for you.
Right, exactly.
But it turns out Halloween cannot officially start until the witch rides over the moon on her broomstick
Absolutely.
in the universe of this special. I've never heard of that in regular life, but that's the story you have to buy into here.
They're telling the story, so they make the rules.
That's right. So she's got a whole giant list of demands of things that she wants.
She has a scroll of
a
demands.
giant scroll, yeah. And some of them are like, she wants her face on the official Transylvanian merchandise. And she wants, basically like 50% of everything Dracula has.
Right. She even wants her name on the T-shirts, or her face on the T-shirts.
Yeah. And she wants him to take her disco dancing. They mention that.
Yeah, they do.
1979, what's up?
Yeah.
And then the straw that breaks the camel's back, because Dracula's like angry about all this, but he's kind of agreeing to all of it. But the one thing he can't agree to, she says, you're going to share power with me over the monster world. And he said, give up half my power? You can forget that shit.
Yeah, please.
So then she says, fine. And she tries to run away. Now the monsters try to block her exit, and that becomes a whole scene.
Exactly. We go into a
like a monkey.
They're all chasing her, like
chase.
yeah.
Yeah.
They all go through different doors, and
they come out, and it's different. Different things.
It's exactly what you think it is.
Yeah. So she goes back to her castle. Is it her castle? Yeah. She goes back to her castle.
Yes.
And all the monsters then have to go. They all sneak up, and they're trying to think of ways to capture the witch and force her to do these things. And they break in there, and she calls upon her ancestors to protect her.
This is my favorite part of the special.
He literally laughed out loud at this part.
I laughed out loud.
So go ahead, you describe it. And
so she calls on her ancestors to protect her. Her ancestors are the Three Musketeers. They just show up, and they slice like a candlestick out of Dracula's hand, and she just escapes.
Yeah,
it made sense, kind of.
Why not?
Because when I think Three Musketeers, I think, wow, they probably descend from a witch.
Well, listen, you don't know their whole history.
That's true.
And there's 3 of them, and they're not blood related.
No, how did they get so crafty with the sword?
That's right. So, there you go.
But it was unexpected, and I laughed out loud.
See, they got you. So in that, she does escape, but all she does is escape to her room.
Yeah, it really wasn't a great escape.
She locks herself in her bedroom.
And really, where I want to applaud the writers here, they spend no less than 7 minutes brainstorming how they can get into the room that she's just on the other side of a wood door.
Yeah.
They have magic powers.
And one of them's a Frankenstein.
And one of them's a brute strength Frankenstein. But they can't figure out how to get on the other side of the door. And they spend 7 minutes doing so. Folks, that's what Emmy Award-winning writing looks like.
Yeah. By the way, this special did win an Emmy.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. So, folks out there, either 1979 had really low standards, or you all should start writing, and maybe you can win an Emmy.
Listen, for what it is, this is a good special.
I
will defend it.
I know.
It is for children.
It's easy to make fun of it.
Yes. Now, I do want to talk about some of the ways specifically, because these are not just classic moments from the show.
Right.
But they became classic things from my childhood.
Okay.
One that we forgot to mention, sort of. When Dracula's flying around and he realizes the sun's about to come up, and he's like, "Oh, I got to get back to my crypt before the sun comes up." And he says, "Oh, I hope Igor left the tomb door open." "Oh, he always leaves the tomb door open. He knows. I've told him 1,000,000 times."
He didn't.
He flies down, and he flies right into the tomb door. And he turns around. He'd been a bat, but now he turns around in full Dracula mode, and his face is all crinkled up because he just flew into a door. And he says, "How many times do I have to tell him? Open at night, closed in the day. Open at night and closed in the day." That was a pretty good impersonation.
That was
by the
very
way.
good. I'm impressed.
Yeah. Do you like how every time I do an impersonation, I stop afterwards to congratulate myself? I
You
just
really
realized
do.
that.
You absolutely do, and I like that about you. I respect
Yeah,
that.
I am confident in my impersonations. But that was something that like my brother and I would say every once in a while, and my neighbor who used to watch this tape with me. Like that was like sort of a catchphrase. I don't know what like when we would say it in real life. Another thing that we would say a lot when they're trying to think of ways to get into the witch's room.
Yeah.
Igor suggests that Dracula, instead of turning himself into his normal giant bat size, turn himself into a teeny tiny bat.
Yeah, and go
and
under.
slide under the door.
Yeah.
So to do so, Dracula lifts up his cape and starts saying teeny tiny bat over and over again.
I actually really like that.
Right? And it gets higher pitched, like a chipmunk kind of thing, like as he goes, as he shrinks, because he does, in fact,
And all
turn
he's
into
doing,
a
it's
teeny-tiny bat.
the camera staying in the same frame. He's just bending down and going, teeny tiny bat, teeny tiny bat, teeny tiny bat.
It's a classic moment. I will put clips, and I will put clips up on the
you
website.
You have to put a picture of the teeny tiny bat because it looks like
You can buy one at the dollar store right now.
Exactly. It looks like if you went to the arcade and you got like 5 tickets, you could buy a teeny tiny bat. And that's what it looks like.
And they literally pull it across the floor with a string. And the witch hits it with a broom.
Yep.
So then he runs back out because he's been beat up with a broom.
And he blames Igor.
Yeah, he blames Igor. And then they try a couple other things, which we won't get into. But it ends with Igor saying, I have an idea, I have an idea. And somehow he brings these children up.
Yeah. Where did they come from?
Don't worry about it, apparently.
Doesn't matter.
Says the special to us. They came from our hearts.
Right.
One of them is a scarecrow, and that's a little boy. And the other one is a witch.
Oh.
And they knock on the door and say, Mrs. Witch? And she's like, you're not fooling me, Dracula. I know you changed your voice and you're trying to sound like a little kid, but you're not fooling me. And the kids say, no, it really is us, and we love you, and you're a symbol of Halloween, and you're a hero to me. And the witch opens the door and sees a little girl.
Right.
And the thing is, they literally have the exact same makeup on.
Exactly.
So that's why I think the Halloweenish makeup on her was a choice, not like just really bad makeup.
Right.
Because they literally have the same like drawn on crow's feet and like
that
all that
makes
stuff.
sense. Yeah.
So she's like, you look just like me. And the little girl's like, you're my favorite thing about Halloween. I love dressing up as you, and you know.
You're one of my favorite people.
So the witch says, all right. I won't cancel Halloween. I'll fly. Spoiler alert, by the way. I'll fly over the moon for the kids. But not for you, Dracula, because you're still an ass.
That's right.
And Dracula says, oh, good. Well, in that case, we don't have to worry about everything we agreed to. And the witch says, no, I'm still going to hold you to it, starting with the disco dance party as soon as I finish my flight over the moon.
Right.
And Dracula's like, uh-huh.
Wah, wah.
So then they all go to the window and watch and cheer approvingly. And it looks really sentimental. Like even Dracula's like smiling and like nodding his head like, yeah.
And he's like, she's
me. Doing it.
She got me, but she's doing it.
Yeah. And you see her fly over the moon, which is a really, really cheesy looking,
right,
huge orange moon
yep.
effect kind of thing. And that is where the tape ends. But I'm going to tell you something, Tom, that I didn't tell you before.
Okay.
Much to my surprise. And I found this out about like 4 or 5 years ago. That is not where the special ended.
Get out. So you thought all this time because that's all you had recorded.
Yep.
Oh.
I thought that's where the special ends.
Did your mind get blown when you found that out?
And it really looks like the ending because it freeze frames on the
Yeah.
people watching the witch fly over the moon. So you think, oh, that was a beautiful story.
Yeah.
And it touched my heart.
So folks, we established that like this is probably from 20 years ago. I mean the VHS you have it on is 30 years old. So let's just say it's at least 20 years old, the recording, probably more than, right?
Yeah.
Easily, yeah, probably 25. We'll give it.
No, this recording is probably 30 years old.
Oh, you think
I think the tape came from 86.
Okay.
And that was one of the first things on it.
So this is about 30 years old. So you went 25, 26 years thinking that's where it ended, and then just you discovered it wasn't.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So what I want to do now is I'll play an audio clip on the podcast. I'll put the real clip online, and
Okay.
I'm going to play it for you. But we can't play and watch at the same time because of the headphone issue. But
Okay, sure.
So, who's gonna dance with me?
Keep on thinking, keep on thinking, keep on thinking, don't stop thinking, love will soon come again. Keep on thinking, don't stop thinking, love will soon come again. Keep on thinking, keep on thinking. Keep on thinking, keep on thinking.
so now you've seen the lost scene,
Yes.
which honestly there wasn't much left to it.
No, it was basically the credits.
But do you want to go ahead and describe it for our audience?
So the witch, it goes in back from commercial. It shows the castle, and you hear disco music, and they're all jamming out to, they're all doing disco dancing. And the witch, she turns from hideous witch to beautiful lady. And as I was saying to Eric, you don't have a sexy actress, and then don't show her off. So
Yeah.
smart, well played by them.
Yeah.
So she's dancing, and then
She's like this beautiful blonde in a red dress now.
and then Judd Hirsch, he turns into like exactly like John Travolta's dressed in Saturday Night
Right.
Fever.
He throws off his cape.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't look happy to be there. And then the witch says, well, who's going to dance with me? She turns herself around, Wonder Woman style,
Yep.
and transforms into this blonde.
Yep.
And then Dracula says, who else? When he sees that, he has like a Tex Avery wolf eyes bulging out kind of thing.
Yeah,
reaction.
absolutely.
And he throws off his cape, and suddenly, he's dressed like John Travolta in Saturday
Right.
Night Fever. And they disco it up while the credits
Exactly.
roll. And all the
Exactly.
monsters are dancing.
And I imagine he danced for the reason that all other men dance. And you all know what I'm thinking. We're not going to end that sentence.
Now, I mean, granted, it's not like an amazing scene, but having gone all those years without it,
Well, it's amazing the fact that you thought for 26 years they're like, oh, this is this, and that's how it ends. I know exactly everything, second by second, what happens in here, and you're missing 3 minutes.
when I met someone, because it's not often that I meet people who even know the special exists.
Right.
So when I meet someone who even knows that exists, I'm excited. But someone mentioned to me the disco party, and I was like, yeah, like just thinking they were talking about the one they said they were gonna have, and she's like, no, at the end when they do the disco party, I was like, the fuck are you talking? There's no like that just ends with them looking out the window at the. She's like, no, they're like
It's
they
full
come
on
back
disco
from
party.
commercial and they have a disco party. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? And then when YouTube came around
You came back to it.
and I found a complete. There's also a couple scenes that are cut from I guess the TV airing. But there's a couple scenes where like the children are being interviewed about Halloween, not happening before they go to the castle and stuff,
Right.
like some news stuff. It's not
So
that
that
exciting.
it's not so that there's surprised children in it. They actually build some
Yeah.
backstory around the children.
Yeah. So it really, I mean, I can just I guess I wouldn't have appreciated it as a kid as
Right.
much as I do now, like knowing that there's a disco party at the end. I still, my tape doesn't have it, so I still feel a little incomplete on
Yeah.
the tape, but
Right.
it does my heart good to know that
Exactly. It makes
in
it.
addition,
Yeah. Exactly. It makes it more special.
yeah. I mean, I was seeing that, knowing those characters, having watched this thing year after year after year,
Yeah.
and then finally, there's a new scene.
Yeah, exactly. You just thought that there was some hag of a witch. You didn't know that she's really inside a beautiful lady.
That's right. Well, I still thought she was kind of Cher-like, so I thought she was kind of.
She had a little thing. Yeah.
but-
I can see that.
Now, something interesting I forgot to mention:
Okay.
the castle that they use for both. It's actually used for both Dracula's castle and the witch's castle,
Yep.
just different parts of it. Is a real mansion
It is.
that exists
Yep.
in Tarrytown, New York, which I've fucking been to and did not realize.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, you would have. Oh man, you got to go back.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to.
That's a
'Cause
road
It's
trip.
literally right next to Sleepy Hollow.
Okay.
Sleepy Hollow used to be part of Tarrytown.
Yeah.
Now Sleepy Hollow is officially Sleepy
Sleepy
Hollow.
Hollow. Yeah.
But it wasn't always that way. And yeah, the mansion is there.
Oh, that's a
So
bummer.
I'm gonna have to go back and take some pictures, and you can do tours of it and everything
Man.
because it's like a big,
Yeah, I was just gonna say it must be so hard to get into because all the fanboys from the Halloween that almost wasn't are probably buying up all the tickets every day.
Seriously, I would probably recognize if they have the same sculptures and everything still there, which they probably do because
Right. It's a castle.
yeah.
That's what you do at a castle.
I would be like, I know that, like I'd be taking pictures with everything, and they'd probably yell at me. But I would do it. I'd be like, "What are you gonna do? Throw me out? Go ahead.
Yeah.
I already have my picture
Yeah.
with the sculpture that Frankenstein's monster knocked over."
Bam.
All right. Well, what are your final thoughts on this special?
Final thoughts. Folks, if you haven't seen it, go to YouTube and you're gonna post the link.
Yep.
So watch it and just revel in it, and take what we say here and just find things for yourself. Find all the fun moments and really admire all the special effects.
Yeah.
Say, wow, that work that they did with the tiny bat. They're ahead of their time.
And see now, we joke about it, but even in your mind right now, I can tell that has become a classic moment. For
It
you.
is. I'm joking about it and making fun of it. It's actually pretty awesome.
It's going to stick out in your mind.
It's ridiculous.
And we're going to be saying that in the green room at some point.
Exactly.
And you and I will be laughing our ass off, and everyone will be like, "What the fuck are these two laughing
Yeah.
at?"
It's ridiculous, but I like the fact that they absolutely know what they're doing. They knew that they were being absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah,
with
they're
it.
all over. The witch is way over the
Yeah.
top. The Dracula's way over the top. Igor's way over the top.
They're
But
in
in the best way.
Yeah, they're in on the joke,
Yeah.
which is great.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed it. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
It's
I mean,
again, it's obviously for children.
Yep.
And they knew they were making it for children.
Yes.
So, if you've got kids and you want to show them something spooky, but really not spooky,
It's gentle.
yeah, it's monsters. So
it's all monsters that they know already. Like
Right.
who doesn't know Frankenstein
and they're super not scary. Like even Frankenstein is
Yeah.
a very cartoonish. He looks like
Yeah.
Herman Munster,
Well,
which
and-
is how he got the role.
and
presumably.
plus the whole point of it is they're not scary. They're all sellouts.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's really family friendly.
The zombie and the mummy are probably the scariest ones.
Yeah, but they have no lines.
Right. But that's why they're scary. Like they just
Right.
don't.
There's still intrigue about them.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, obviously, I love it. To me, it's a classic. It's a kind of an undiscovered classic for a lot of people. Even though it was on all that time, most people didn't gravitate to it the way I did. Thanks to my trusty VHS tape. But please do yourself a favor this Halloween season, which a lot of people will tell you doesn't start till October. I'm telling you, Halloween season starts at least in July
Yeah, I mean, come on.
in my world. So it's fine if you want to watch it now. If you want to wait till October, that's okay too. And what I'm going to do for you, I'm going to put the link to the whole thing on YouTube, on the website. But I'm also going to cut up some of the scenes that we specifically mention,
Oh, nice.
so that if you don't feel like sitting and watching the whole
you
thing,
can just watch clips.
you can just watch clips.
Very cool.
Even though you should watch the whole thing at some point. But
Yeah, it's
it's like 20 minutes, 25 minutes.
25 minutes. Well, I mean, if you watch Eric's version, it's 20 minutes.
Yeah.
If you watch the real
The
version,
director's
it's
cut.
25 minutes. Yeah, the director's cut. Yeah.
Yeah. As always, of course, I'm telling you to find these clips on the website. So that is spookyasshit.com.
Yes.
And you can find things from this episode that we talk about, but also every episode that we've ever done. There's sometimes video clips. There's usually picture galleries, all sorts of goodies, little bit of extras.
Yeah, and I say it every time, but Eric does put a nice description with a lot of information in for each episode. So it's really cool. A lot of fun tidbits that we touched on, and then a lot of extra tidbits that didn't make it into the show.
Yeah. And you can also, from there, you can find links to all of our social media accounts. It's usually at SpookyAssShit. That's Instagram and Twitter. And on Facebook, you can find us at facebook.com/spookyas. And this is something I've been meaning to talk about, because we have a good number of listeners. We're looking at the downloads, and they're not only is it a good number, but it's getting higher and higher
Yes.
every time that we look at it.
And it's wonderful.
each month. Each
Keep it
month
going,
so
keep it
far
going.
has outdone itself, and it looks like this month is on track to do the same. But if you go to our Facebook page, we have like 60 likes. We've got like 5 Twitter followers, like 4 Instagram followers. So it would be really nice for me if we could see our download numbers reflected in the number of likes and followers that we have on the social media accounts too. Because honestly, right now, I don't even really put much into the Twitter and the Instagram. I do Facebook because people will respond to that.
Right.
But, you know, I don't know. Especially Twitter. Like, I don't know exactly what to do with it, but I feel like we need to have it. Instagram, I take pictures of spooky stuff every now
Yeah.
and then. We'll post those.
Throw it
that
up
I
there.
get. Twitter, I link when the new show is up. But I'd like to do more with it. But I'd like to know that there's people out there who would actually see it
Right. Absolutely.
if I did
hear
that.
you. Yeah.
You know? So let's get those numbers up.
Yeah, folks, explore Eric's content.
Yeah. Explore my content.
Sounds fun.
All right, then. Your homework before Halloween, on or before Halloween, is to watch The Halloween That Almost Wasn't, a.k.a. The Night That Dracula Saved the World. They did make a reference to this in The Simpsons.
They did.
There's one part where Principal Skinner is telling the children they're going to watch The Christmas That Almost Wasn't, but then was. And that's basically what this was.
Absolutely. Yeah.
The Halloween That Almost Wasn't,
But then was.
but then was. Until next time, don't be afraid.
Stay spooky.
Spooky Times is a Witchfinder production.